31 feet, 1.2 seconds on the clock, and a whole week of people insisting this woman was already as good as gone. Monday night in Washington, Caitlin Clark caught the ball, rose up from the parking lot, and ended the game, while half the basketball internet was still arguing about which city she'd be playing in next. Tomorrow night, she walks back into Gainbridge Fieldhouse to face Chicago, and the men who spent the week trying to run her out of Indiana have to sit there and watch. So let's talk about those men, because the story everyone got fed last week didn't come from a reporter. It didn't come from anybody inside the building. It came from a couple of television voices with a microphone and a grudge. Here's where the number comes in, and it's the number that makes this whole thing absurd. 2 years ago, before Clark walked through the door, somebody put a price tag on the Indiana Fever, $90 million, a franchise nobody outside Indianapolis thought about. Today, that same franchise is valued at $560 million, third most valuable team in the entire league, a $470 million jump in 2 years, and you do not need a finance degree to see who walked in the door in between. One player, one. And there are grown men on television telling you that team is in a hurry to ship her somewhere else. Let me set the timeline straight, because the timeline is the whole story. Last Friday, a longtime TV commentator named Jason Whitlock typed out a sentence and hit send. The Indiana Fever, he wrote, are planning to ship Caitlin Clark to the Los Angeles Sparks. He even predicted who'd coach her out there. That was it. No source he'd name, no reporter behind it, just a sentence. And that sentence caught fire. 2 million views in a couple of days. A retired NBA player piled on the same afternoon. Said he was hearing from a reliable source that the Fever don't want Caitlin anymore. Sparks, he wrote, go get her now. Same energy, same evidence. Which is to say, none. And here's the part the outrage machine skipped right past. The actual basketball world wasn't buying a word of it. One respected insider looked at Whitlock's post and said, and I'm quoting, trying to break news for the first time in his life. This should age well. A reporter who covers the business of this league said he'd be stunned if Indiana moved her. And when reporters who are actually plugged into the Fever made calls, the people connected to that team said flat out, there is no trade. There never was. The whole Clark wants out story, when somebody finally traced it back, came from an unsourced video made with the help of artificial intelligence. No reporter, no team source. A computer and a thumbnail. Sit with that for a second. The story that had a chunk of the country convinced Indiana was about to make the dumbest decision in modern sports history was built on a tweet and a robot. Now, hold that thought, because we're going to come back to exactly what Caitlin did about it. But first, you need to understand why the people who run that franchise would sooner trade the building than trade her. Go back to the empty version of this team. The pre-Clark Fever played in front of 4,000 people on a good night. Bottom of the league, bottom of the conversation, an afterthought in their own city. Then they drafted her, and the lights came on. Last season, the Fever sold out home game after home game in a building that seats over 17,000, drawing more fans in the same arena than the city's NBA team. This year, the league put 41 of their 44 games on national television. 41. That's more national TV games than the Lakers, more than the Celtics, more than the Warriors, for a women's basketball team in Indianapolis. One analyst who studies this stuff for a living ran the numbers and found Clark was responsible for more than a quarter of all the economic activity in the entire league. One player, a quarter of everything. He projected her impact could push past $1 billion in a single year. $1 billion, with a B. And here's the punchline that should end every trade conversation before it starts. She's doing all of that on a rookie contract that pays her about $78,000 this season. Her own agent told ESPN it would be impossible to pay her what she's actually worth to this league. So let's put the trade rumor in plain terms. A franchise that went from $90 million to $560 million in 2 years on the back of one 24-year-old making rookie money is supposedly in a rush to give her away. To Los Angeles. For what, exactly? Nobody trading that rumor ever got around to the return, because there isn't one that makes sense. You don't trade the reason the lights came on. You build a statue. There used to be an understanding in this sport. When a city got handed a once-in-a-generation player, a bird, a magic, you didn't go looking for the exit. You circled the wagons. You protected them. You made sure the whole world knew that player wasn't going anywhere. That's what a franchise is supposed to do with the best thing that's ever happened to it. Which brings us to what Caitlin actually said. Because while the television voices were busy shipping her across the country, she stood at a podium and answered them herself. A reporter asked about all the noise, and she didn't flinch. "I don't really know why we're still on this," she said. "The opinions," she said, "don't matter." And then the line that traveled the furthest, she said she hoped it would make a lot of people just be quiet. "The sky," she said, "is not falling." The sky is not falling. From the player they spent a week burying. No press release from a publicist, no long statement, 8 seconds at a microphone and a shrug. And then she went and did the thing she always does. Because 3 days after she told everybody to be quiet, there she was in Washington, down 1, the clock bleeding out. The season sitting at a wobbly 5-5 with the whole league waiting to see this team crack. Ball comes loose of the script, and Caitlin Clark drifts way out past the line, catches it, and lets go from 31 feet with 1.2 seconds left. Good. 78-76, 19 points. The win. The answer. There's a cruel little detail in the schedule, too. Those Los Angeles Sparks the TV guys were so sure she'd be playing for. Indiana plays them at the end of this month. She'll suit up against the team she was supposedly desperate to join. In the jersey, the rumor said she'd already left. You can't write it better than that. So here we are. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Chicago in town. The same building that was barely a quarter full before she arrived will be loud and packed and red. And somewhere out there, the men who spent a week telling everyone she was gone get to watch number 22 run out of that tunnel, at home, in Indiana, exactly where she's been the whole time. The rumor got 2 million views. The shot got the win. One of those two things was real. Here's what I keep coming back to, and I want to know where you land on it. When the people paid to talk about this sport decide a city's best player should be run out of town, and the player answers them with a buzzer beater and a shrug, who actually looks foolish in the morning? Drop it in the comments. Tell me whether you think any of these voices will say a single word about that shot. And watch the building tomorrow night. Watch how a city that was supposedly ready to let her go actually treats her. I've got a feeling the sky's going to stay right where it is.